Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the H&S podcast. I'm Shaun. Henry, say hello.
Hi everyone.
Special episode today. We're going to be kicking off our Supercoach series. It's geared towards beginners, especially because, Henry, it's your first year, isn't it?
Definitely is.
Um,
Well, technically, I tried to attempt it the previous years and just never continued or did it properly. So,
yeah. I think it's going to be really good as a tutorial series for a lot of people. A lot of great Supercoach podcasts out there, but they've been running for a long time, and more geared towards the experienced Supercoaches. Because they're the people who are going to take time listening to a podcast. Most newbies won't take the time to listen to a podcast because they're not that into it yet. But I think it's important to have this resource out there, and it's a really great fit for us because you're new as well. So hopefully it goes well for people. This is not Henry's team, everyone. This is my sister's account. Um, Henry, if you don't know, Supercoach has a technicality in one of their rules where you have to have, like, one person can only have one account. And there's been
oh wow,
controversy before where somebody had a second account, finish in the top 10 and all that sort of stuff. So that's because they don't want someone making 10 accounts to try to win the prize money, right? Um,
makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
so this is definitely not my account, and there's a human attached to this account. But Henry's got his own account. It's a bit hard for us to record Henry's screen at the moment, so we're going to use this dummy account. It's going to mirror Henry's team exactly throughout the season. Same trades, same reserves, or hopefully same reserves and captains and all that sort of stuff. But there will probably be weeks where there's a laid out and I can't get around to changing it. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But for now, we're just focusing on trades and functionalities. Henry, as this is a tutorial, I'm not actually going to kick off with anything, mate. You lead the way. Any questions
Okay,
or where you
so
want to start? Whatever you want to do.
yes, before I start, so the remaining salary is what I have for this picks. That's the top number at the top there, right?
Yep.
Total selected is including the full, I guess the full team along with reserves. Okay, perfect. And as the weeks go by, can you make trades? How does that all work? I mean, maybe we could do that in a later, but for
Yeah.
now, let's just go. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
go through. I think that was too
I think we'll
too
do a
early on.
team picker, but um,
Yep.
trades does matter when you pick your initial team. So I'll give you a quick rundown. It's you don't actually get trades every week. You get an allotted amount of trades that you can use.
Okay.
have forgotten actually how much it is. I think it's 42. Um,
So
so
the reason why I'm asking this question is because I don't like if I pick someone and they either get injured or
yeah,
there is X and Y. How flexible is it?
yeah,
And
that's
so
the
how do I
thing,
prepare?
right? It used to
Yeah.
be 30 trades, which was pretty tough for everyone. I'm pretty sure it's 42 trades for the season now, so just less than two a week. For during the buys, during the major buy rounds, you get an extra trade you can make, but that still comes out of your total. So if you make that extra trade, your total that you have for the season, which is 42, will still go down by one. It's not just a bonus free trade. You also have a boost. You get five of those from the season, which will allow you to make another trade on top of your allotted total. That's a bit confusing, actually, how I just explained it. So I'll explain it simplified. You get 42 trades total for the season, no matter what. There's no way to magically get 43. Every
Makes
week,
sense.
every normal week, you get a maximum of two trades that you can make.
Okay.
What makes a week not a normal week? In the major buy rounds, you can get a maximum of three that you can make. And on any week, you can increase the number by one trade by using one of your five boosts. So during a normal
Okay.
week, that would be three trades for that week. During a buy round, you'd be able to make four.
Okay.
And obviously, every week we'll have a buy, but it's the major buy round. So those three buy rounds for Origin is what we're talking about for the major buy rounds, where you get the extra trade.
Okay.
So that's useful to know when you're making your team because you can't just get a winger for 2 weeks and then trade them out just because they're versing
Okay.
the Titans and the Eels.
Yeah. Then that's why I want. That's why I asked the question because I
Yeah.
want to know how do I plan around this. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let's start with halfbacks then. Because I already
We'll
got
start with
a
halfback.
halfback in mind.
Yep, who you
Yep,
picking,
already
mate?
got a halfback in mind. Going straight Moses.
You really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's your team. Um,
And okay, so why would the reaction before we continue?
yeah.
Why would you have
So
the reaction?
in Supercoach, you want the okay. You know what? I could explain a lot of the ins and outs of the tactics
Yeah,
around
just
it,
go
but the
just go simple.
strategy is Nathan Cleary is the best halfback in the game, and you can tell that by right now. I'm not paying for Supercoach Gold. Any of the stats in gold at the top there is you have to pay premium for it. But to give people a taster, for the first 2 rounds of the season, you get it for free. If you look at own percent, and if you click it, actually, you can get you'll reorder it to the top owned players at the top. Nathan Cleary comes in at 50%.
Okay.
He is the king of Supercoach when he's fit. Um, my recommendation to anyone playing is unless you think Cleary isn't going to play, or unless you think other factors like Vegas are going to make an impact on his point scoring at the start of the season, get Nathan Cleary. Um, but if you want to go Moses, don't let me stop you. The downside to Moses is he doesn't have as high a base stat profile as Cleary. So he doesn't run the ball as much. He misses a couple more tackles. He doesn't make as many tackles. Those are foundational points that you can rely on week in, week out and don't fluctuate too much. And then they get extra points on top of that by, scoring tries, setting up tries, kicking goals, all that sort of stuff. So
Okay.
Cleary has a higher base, which is reliable, consistent stats like tackles and runs, compared to Moses.
Good to know. Good to know. Ah, interesting. Brown is higher as well with those stats as well and
Yeah, because
ownership.
because what
He does a lot of
what do you,
tackling
yeah,
as well.
that's it, right? I was
Yeah.
gonna say, what do you rate about Dylan Brown? Um,
Yeah.
so he's got better tackle stats, and less missed tackles, so less negative points as well. But we've got Moses as our first player picked. Obviously we can change this whenever we want.
Yep.
Where are we
Let's keep
going
it.
now?
Yeah. Let's keep it that. Okay. So I think for me, next one will be let's go fullback.
Fullback, good choice.
Yep.
Fullback, for those who don't know, the high scoring position in the game. I don't know the exact stats, but the majority of the top 10 players last year were fullbacks.
Yep. So far out. I can't. Maybe I'm so power biased. So I kind of want to go um
Iongi.
Isaiah only. Yeah, just because I feel like he's gonna have to take a lot on this season, and he's cheap. Well, I think
Yeah.
he's cheap. I just checked there. He's hella cheap. But I do because I'm thinking, do I spend more now in the hooker and 5'8", or so hooker and front row slash second rower, right?
Yeah.
So
So, look, and just for people watching, take advantage of the Supercoach Gold you get for free. If you're brand new to Supercoach and you don't know the point scoring system or price value, that sort of stuff, own percent, if you filter by that, like you can see me clicking here, would be your best friend. If you're just like, I don't know who to pick, own percent, whoever you can afford, just add them in. That's the safest way to play it because you're letting other super coaches sort of make the
do the
decision
work
for
for
you.
you.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
always great. Like there are some picks where I'm like, that guy's just not going to play or that guy's not going to get, he's not as secure as what a lot of people say. And there's also the flip side where I'm like, this guy should be higher percentage owned. That one where I'm like, these guys should be higher tends to fix itself as the season goes along. But yeah, you don't want to start with somebody incorrect. But own percent is the best way to do it. You mentioned money distribution. Ceilings
Yeah.
matter a lot more in Supercoach now. So historically, it was different. But for 2025, you want to see the guys who have high ceilings. And what I mean by that is somebody can score 80 every week, or somebody can score 40 and then 120. The
Okay.
120, because captains are a thing, and we can explain that once your squad is settled, 120 is really valuable. Um,
Okay. So
Hookers and
looking at
props don't really do that. Fullbacks do it all the time.
okay. So looking at this, I would probably so I'm leaning towards yeah, I would have loved to pick Ongi, and it's kind of funny that his ownership is so high.
It's, yeah.
But I just don't know yet. Maybe I'm just gonna put Kalen there for now,
Yep.
and I might make some adjustment depending on how the rest of the team comes into play. But
Sounds
let's do
good.
that for now and
Mm-hmm.
we'll make some changes. Okay, so there we go for fullback. Let's go straight into. Let's go hooker.
Hooker.
Okay, hooker wise. Oh, this is hard because I haven't really.
Yeah. The other thing I'd point out while you're thinking is look
Yes.
at the start of the season money making. So the team works like a stock market where players have a set price, and if they
Okay.
outperform that price, the price goes up, and if they underperform that price, the price goes down. There's a lot more nuance to it, but for now, that's all you need to know about. Um, and Iongi, 60%, 232. You go to hooker, top owned, Sandon Smith, 237. We'll go to halfback, Sandon Smith again, right?
Interesting. That's
237.
how it works.
5'8"
Okay.
is a little bit more distributed. That's mostly because there aren't any good cheapies at 5'8", though, right? And you've got
Yeah.
some desperate people, 8%, picking Jake Elliott, who isn't going to play, right? But he's in the top 10 for 5'8s because people are just desperate for a cheapie. So low price does matter because as the season goes on and like the stock market, you will hopefully build your portfolio and get more money because players are outperforming the price you bought them at.
Yeah, price. Yep.
You can then cash them in and your salary cap goes up.
Yep.
So the way I like to think
Makes
about it is, you're the battlers at the start, you're the Newcastle Knights of the world, and then by the end of the season you'll be the Sydney Roosters.
Okay. So if we look at this, right, I kind of want your input here as well.
Yeah, no,
A
absolutely.
little bit of your input. I'm going. There's two plays here I'm looking at, and
Mm.
that's Egan.
Uh-huh.
My problem is I feel like Marshall King is just too high in value now. Looking at it, I don't know if he's going to increase. If I factor in also what you said there, right? Um, if they increase in value, if I take a punt on that
Well,
method as
let's take a little bit of a stroll down memory lane. So when you click a player, you can do a deep dive.
yep.
Now, obviously, all this gold stuff is you
Yep.
can't always see it. So everything in gold you won't be able to see later. And don't worry too much about all the stats. But if you look at this from last year, it sort of shows you his scores. So look at the start there, the green,
Consistent start.
right? And then what happened to him? He got injured.
Injured.
And then he came back, lower scores. Then he got injured again, and then lower scores. So does that tell you something about if he's value or not?
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get injured, he can put in a lot of
Yeah,
points. That's for sure.
he might outperform his price if he doesn't get injured.
You know what? Let's take a punt.
Yep.
Let's take a punt. Take a punt.
JMK is a pretty good shout as a premium hooker. If I was going to spend money in hooker, JMK for
Yeah.
classic would be one of the top people on the list. The
Yeah.
other thing I want to mention is when you filter by own percent, it's for all positions. So if you like, you see Sandon Smith, he's 53%. He's not 53% in hooker. He's 53% in Supercoach, right? So that's
Yep.
half of all teams have him at
Somewhere.
somewhere.
Whether it's
Yeah,
reserve, whether it's bench or starting.
yeah.
Yep. Makes sense. Yep.
At hooker or at halfback. So it's not 53%
I
of
can see
hookers at
why.
Sandon.
I can see how that cheapie works then.
Yeah,
Okay. Next one. Let's go front rower.
front row.
We're going. Oh, filtering on that own and Corey Holsbrough sits straight at that top. Far out.
Well, what's the story for Corey Horsburgh? Last year wasn't
He's
really.
go. Yeah, he wasn't really playing his minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He had a stellar year the previous year.
Yep.
Towards the back end of his season, he played phenomenal. So, and the fact that he's only 300
Mm-hmm. And he's
ain't a
starting now.
bad. And he's starting.
Yep. And
So
the
if
other
as long
thing,
as he, go for it.
he's dual position. So he's available at front row and second row, which gives you more flexibility in your team later down the line. We
That's a
can
good
we
shout.
can explain that a little bit
That's a good
later,
shout.
but that's just one thing to mention. I wouldn't give up points to get this dual position, right?
Yep.
To get a cheap player, you will give up points. But it's worth it in the long run if you time it properly and make the money, then sell, and then get somebody who you couldn't afford before who makes even more points. But dual position, I wouldn't give up points for, but it's definitely a good splitter. Like if you're like, oh, who do I go? And somebody's got dual, that's one of the things that could split it. Other things that could split it would be immediate draw. So you look at the next 4 games. Useless at the start of the season because you don't know who are good and who are bad teams, but later down the line, it's something you can think about.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love Stefano wasn't so expensive. No, I'm looking probably Tino here.
Tino, yep. He's
Uh,
in my opinion, he should be the highest owned front
yep.
rower in the comp.
So we'll go Tino, and then for that second one, I think I might actually take a risk here. Or not take a risk. I don't think it's that much of a risk, but maybe I might go Corey here.
Corey,
Thinking
yep.
about it, a
That's
bit
my
cheaper.
front row.
Oh, okay. Your same front row.
Yep.
Well, that's good to know. Okay. Let's go second row.
Yep.
And for second row, I'm thinking here. Wow, Jack Bird is now considered second row.
Yeah,
He's
apparently
always
the
been.
Tigers are thinking about playing him at lock. So the way they pick these positions is based on previous years. But the thing that
Yeah.
matters a lot more, apparently, is they actually speak to the clubs and be like,
What are you doing?
Yeah, what's likely going to happen? And apparently the Tigers said, we might play him at lock. Now, clubs are shady, so they're not always honest. And they ask pretty early on because they've obviously got to set up the website and get the data entries in for the positions of each player before Supercoach releases, like opens for everyone. So
Yep.
things can change and it's pretty early on and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, apparently the Tigers said he's going to play lock.
Okay.
Or centre, which is where this comes from.
Okay. Do you go McInnes here? Do we go McInnes here? Let me look. How much is he going for? 600. How much money do we have? Still got quite a lot to play around with. Cohen Hess, he had a drop of a season.
McInnes, for me, there's not much value there. Like, unless you think
Yeah.
he's going to start scoring more points this year compared to last year, and then you'd have to give a reason. Is he going to get more minutes? Are the Sharks going to give him more ball? Like, what's going on with his situation? I think I'd steer clear because I think he's priced at what he's going to score.
I'm looking at Hamole,
Mm-hmm.
and because he's got a captaincy role as well, right? So if captaincy takes a point into consideration, that's you assigning every week, actually, right? Never mind.
Yeah, you can change captains every week. But
Hamole is good, but his price is fairly high.
yeah, if you click on his sort of
Stats.
profile, yeah, you can see there's a lot of fluctuation.
Pretty consistent. Pretty consistent though.
Is he though? Like 97, and then he gets 54.
Besides like round 15, and then
97,
oh wait, am I looking at the right year? Yeah.
Round 3 he scored 48. Then he scores 94 again.
Yeah, for that price, it's a bit of a risk.
He's almost like he halves his points. Then he's consistent with the same amount of points. Then he doubles his points, and then he trends downwards for a bit. Like it's not as consistent as you think it might be.
Yeah.
But that being said, that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. If you think Turbo is going to be fit, if you think Manly are going to hum, and because there's room for improvement for Hamole, right? He didn't have a career year last year.
He didn't. That's what I'm thinking.
So if you think
I might take a risk here.
Yeah, plug him in, and we can always just, if we need to downgrade, we can later on.
How did Tom Gilbert go last year? Was he injured last year?
He was injured all last year. Yep.
Yeah, because he's got injured the back end of last 2023, right?
Yeah, he was injured.
Yeah, he did too. How did he score the previous years? Just because he's priced, not too bad. Anyways, let's go back to
for a number of games. They'll actually give you a bit of a discount.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm gonna go Hamole.
Hamole, yep.
I'll just, yep. If I might make some changes later, but let's go Hamole. Then my second one is probably gonna be, man, Jack. It's not a bad cry because I feel like he knows how to find the line. Uh,
If what are you filtering by at the moment? Price?
right now it's no, I've kept it as ownership.
Yeah, okay. Look, Bird, if he starts at lock, could be a decent buy. He's not in my team at the moment because I don't
Yeah,
trust that he's going to stay starting at lock.
yeah.
Clemmer hasn't left yet.
Whoa,
You've got Fanua Pole,
Max Plath.
Tyrrell May, Alex Twal. Yeah, he killed it last year.
Oh, he's so expensive.
Yeah,
Wow.
because JMK was out, remember?
Yeah,
And so he just killed it last year, and he's a gun. Like I've been wanting him to start at lock for them for ages. If I was the Dolphins, I'd go Plath at lock. Gilbert would be prop.
yeah. Am I going to see better numbers from Papali'i this year?
Mm,
You know what? Maybe, maybe. 2022 and 2021 seasons, at least 2022 is really consistent.
yeah, he's look. So he was really highly owned until he was on the bench. So he's been named on the bench for Penrith at the moment. That's why he was down at 7%. He's still in my team because I think he will start eventually, but I'm not
I agree.
sold on it yet. So he might drop out of my team. The reason there is if he does start off the bench in Vegas, then I might be able to get him at a cheaper price later
Makes sense.
because he's like right. Because he's playing less minutes, scoring less points, and underperforming, then his price will go down and I can bring him in. The trade-off there is trades are valuable as well. So if I know that,
Yep.
if I believe that he's going to start and score well, I need to weigh that up against the trade value of waiting and not having him and having
Yep.
to spend a trade to get him in versus just getting him now, not needing to spend a trade, but maybe paying a higher price than I would have if I traded him in. Trades, as a rule of thumb, if you really want to dumb it down, a lot of people say trades are worth 100K. So if I think he's going to be priced at 480, some people would say that's worth it. I think
Okay.
trades are situational because you get a max of 2. I don't want to be stuck having to trade in Papali'i before his price skyrockets and then having an injury to one of my important players and then also having another cheapie get named who I then need to bring in all in 1 week because
Yep.
then I'd have to use a boost, or if there's 4 people, I just wouldn't be able to do it, right? So
Yep.
that's the decision I'm making. I'm like, well, is he going to drop enough money for me to justify trading him in later? Or do I just keep him in my team because I'm confident that he's going to start?
Yep. Yeah. Damn, this is a lot harder for this.
Do you want to come back
A
to the
lot harder
position
than thought.
once we have
Yeah.
the money like situation? Because
Yeah.
second rows
Let's.
is tough.
Yeah. It's tough. Okay. Let's go. Let's go wingers.
Yep.
Well, actually, go centers first. Sorry.
So center wing is the same position in
Oh, same
Supercoach.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone
Just
who's
saw that one.
eligible will be, yeah.
Okay. So first one for me. Where is my boy, Zachy
Lomax.
Lomax?
Okay. Now let's look at Zach Lomax. He was on the wing, had a
Oh
career
wow.
year last year, right?
Yeah.
He's now
The
moving
previous year.
where he was playing center. He wasn't so good.
I don't know. When I look at 2023, 2024, they're kind of. I mean, he had bigger blowouts in 2024 for sure. Oh yeah, no, it's actually a big difference. Never
Yeah.
mind.
And then the other thing is he was the focal point of the attack for the Dragons. Like it was essentially Ben Hunt kicks to Zach Lomax scores a try. Now he's got that at the Eels with Moses, but Is he going to be the focal point? Probably not, right? There's going to be more dilution of his points. And here is
Yeah.
the kicker. Moses.
Yeah.
There's a punt there
No,
because
I think
Moses
it's
is the
like.
kicker.
Oh yeah. No, I
Unless
think Zach is gonna. I'm pretty sure Zach's gonna take it off
I
Moses.
think once Moses's foot is fine, he'll kick.
Okay.
That,
Okay.
but if you think he's
Let's.
not, that's a decision you make. This is more just telling super coaches what they need to think about. If
Yeah.
somebody is a goal kicker, that's valuable, unless they miss a lot and then they get negative points. I had that
Yeah,
issue.
that's what I'm thinking.
Kalen has that issue sometimes, but he scores so many other points, it doesn't matter.
I'm thinking of that Jermaine Osaka right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's taking me a second
No,
while I'm
no,
looking
man.
at the stats as well.
Honestly, Supercoach is froth this shit.
Yeah.
Like, Supercoach podcast is so long all the time. But yeah, that's the only thing to think about. If you think he's going to goal kick, then obviously not a factor. But if you think, it might be a factor, right? Are Parramatta going to score more points than the Dragons? And is Zach Lomax going to kick more goals?
Yeah. I'm gonna keep Lomax out for now. I feel like he's gonna be person to go in, but I'm just worried about money. So let's go.
Well, then keep him, and if you need to make up money, then you can cut him later.
Yeah, let's put him then
Because
because I
right
feel
now
like he's there.
we're just filling out a team. We want to get the bulk in, and then we can be like, oh shit, we need to make money.
Man, I might go Casey McLean here.
Yep.
He didn't have a full season last year. Okay, looking at his stats, yeah, he didn't have a full season.
He barely played.
If he can play, and he's starting this time, right?
Yeah, the issue is Brian To'o's out. So the question then becomes, when Brian To'o comes back, does Casey go to centre? Or does Casey just fall out of the team?
Who's the other wing?
Oh, I've forgotten. Alamotti.
Doesn't Casey take
Alamotti might play.
Alamotti? Well,
He's
isn't
definitely
Alamotti
a centre.
centre?
He's both. He's more a centre, but what? Yeah, who is?
Because if you could have Casey over Alamotti, don't get me wrong, he's good, but I feel like he's a better centre than he is a
Yeah.
winger.
And
there's no
Luke Garner's at centre, so yeah, Casey probably
yeah,
goes
and
to
then
that centre spot, or Alamotti goes
yeah.
to that centre spot.
What's Targo like then? Is Targo even in?
Targo's been named, so
And
he's at centre. Are you talking Supercoach?
no, I'm talking about both, but anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Like
let's go. I'm gonna
starting
go.
on the wing at the moment for Vegas. So it just depends on, but I think either Casey or Alamotti goes to centre, and then Toto comes into the team. So you should be fine.
Okay.
Picking Casey. I have Casey now.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Casey. Okay, I'm going Casey. I'm going Jesse Arthurs here.
Yep.
And then last but not least, might go for a cheaper buy here. Who's this Robert Tower guy?
People think he's going to start at the Roosters. I don't know what his job security is like, because at full strength, Dom Young, Daniel Tupou, Billy Smith, Mark. I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah.
I should learn how to say his last name. Nwanknitawase.
Yep.
But there's injuries and stuff around, so people think he's going to start. But then how long is he going to start for? So if you think he's going to play more than 4 games, he's probably worth getting in.
Just because of his price. No, I'd rather go Finayu.
Yep. Finau.
Sione. Yeah, Finau. Sorry. Yeah, I might go him. Yeah, I mean, he's got a bit of a red mark there for his head knock, but he'll be back. I mean, he played a stellar trial. So
yeah, he really did. I was surprised when the Dragons let Tamale go, and then I saw Finau debut, and I was like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I still would have kept Tamale, keep both, but like,
I'm thinking putting Tamale as my reserves.
Yeah.
In my reserves for that price.
Let's do that. We can always change it.
Do I just pick it? How do I do that? I'm gonna watch your screen right now. How do I put him on a reserve?
So you just plus, and so it'll just fill out as a reserve. So reserves
Oh,
are
as soon as I press.
positional. So if you look
Okay.
at
Yep.
how, so center
Yeah,
wing,
that makes sense.
under that you've got three that are spaced closer together, and then a bigger
Yep.
gap, and then that's your fullback reserve because it's a bigger
Okay.
space, and that position would fill out through there. So that's another thing that strategically gets important, but for beginners doesn't really matter in terms of depth and all that sort of stuff. Just make them fit somehow, essentially.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm good there. Oh wow. I'm looking now back at 5'8"
Mm-hmm.
again. I'm looking here, and my heart's saying maybe take a risk on uh, go cheapy here and go Harris Tavita, and let's fill out the second row with a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Or I want your opinion here as well. Or do I go a bit more expensive and look at a deal bags
Yeah. Look,
Metcalf
i-
K weeks?
if I was doing this, and then obviously I have done this, I've gone Munster and Metcalf. Um, reason being is Munster's season last year was shit, and he still killed it. And I'm gambling that Munster's going to be fit and firing this year. Um,
Okay.
that's an informed decision where there's a lot of good things coming out about Munster's preseason. Like he's off the booze again, as he's like really wants to win a comp.
How was Luke though during the trials? Because I didn't watch him that well after his big injury. Like that's not a
Yeah,
small
I
injury, his
didn't
fracture.
watch trials. Apparently, he went well. And the reason I'm getting him is because he'll now consistently be starting. I'm again gambling that he's going to be fit. And I'm also assuming he's going to take the kicking duties consistently. So goal kicking will bust it up a little bit more. The other side of it is I just like Luke Metcalf. I think he's a gun. And I think we haven't seen the best of him. So that
He's kicking as well, right? He's
yeah,
kicking
so
for
I'm pretty
goal.
sure he'll be goal kicking unless CHD takes it. But even without it, I'm a fan of Luke Metcalf. Like I think
Are
he's
you
a
doing
beast.
are you doing Luke Metcalf as reserve, or are you
Yeah,
doing him as a
yeah.
starting?
So 4 of your reserves will play. So you've got your starting 13 that'll get points. You then allocate any 4 reserve positions for the players who aren't in your starting 13. So I'm gonna pick Metcalf and I'm gonna put him as a reserve. So there's 2 types of reserves. You've got reserves, and then you've got what are called NPRs, which are non-playing reserves.
Yep.
Your bench, right? So up there it says bench is made up of all these players. All except 4 are going to be NPRs, non-playing reserves.
Yep.
4 of them you're going to put an R on, which will be their points get added to your total for that week. So you have 17 scoring people for the week.
Okay.
And Metcalf will be one of mine. I'm high on both. They might not be the best Supercoach like analytical picks, but I think both of them are going to have way better seasons than they did last year.
You're not thinking, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Like I
I'm
can't
looking
point
here,
to
right?
they're going to get more minutes or they're going
Yeah.
to do this or that, whatever, or they move to a better club and the 5'8" last year at that club scored this many points. It's me literally saying Munster's going to be fit and kill it, and Metcalf's going to be fit and kill it, and so I'm going to get them in my team.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Munster's killed it
What
in the
was
past before. Like Munster's probably the best 5'8" in the comp, for
yeah.
Supercoach, historically speaking. Dualbag's not great.
Brimson, just checked him. Brimson's whatever. Trindor, he's playing 6. And he's gotta have to babysit um his boy Nico, who I'm not a big fan of.
I love Nico, just not at halfback.
Sorry, I love Nico, but not a halfback. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, that was probably the best way to say it. Okay, so looking at this, I'm leaning towards Metcalf. I'm leaning towards either going for a Dill Bags or a Tommy Deedon.
Yeah. The other thing I'd point out for this is look at the
Yes.
spread of own percent. At halfback, you've got 3 that are 50 plus, right? At
Yeah.
centre, you've got 2 that are 50 plus, and then a 30, then another 30. Second row, 50. There's a bigger spread there just because there's 6 positions. Front row, there's 2 clear standouts there. there's 150% for 5'8",
Yep.
and then the spread is a lot. Like there's people aren't sure who to go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dumb
So it's
picks
about
in there
taking the
too,
risk.
like Jake Elliott. Like what are people thinking? That could literally be somebody saying, I'm just it's so unclear. I want somebody who's not going to score points. There are advantages to that sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but is also dual position. So you can see that he's got the dual and his basement price, so it's not as big as of a hit. So the people picking him are probably going, I want the cheapest person, has some dual position utility, so I get some flexibility, but essentially I'm going to spend my money elsewhere because I don't know where to spend it right now on 5'8".
Yeah. I'm definitely going Luke Metcalf.
Yeah.
And I could swap him afterwards to not be the starter instead. Let's go Luke Metcalf, and then for my bench or my other 6/7. Was this just 5'8"? Sorry.
Yeah, so 5'8"
Yeah,
and halfback is
that's right.
separated
Yeah,
by
they are.
position.
Yeah, sorry, I was just
But
messing. Yep.
there's a lot of people saying it should be combined and then splitting wing and center, or middles and whatever. So, but this year, yeah, they're split by position. The reason I'm
Yeah.
pointing out this year, though, by the way, is just a listener thing. Like, if somebody looks at this podcast in 2026 and things are different,
Yeah.
so just
Not blaming you, the same thing.
yeah.
Okay, so let's just keep that. Let me fill out my second rows before I go for like for the other
Yeah,
reserves.
sounds good.
Okay, so we got Hamole for our first one, and then our second one. I'm going. How much money do we have left? We got 5 milli, 6 milli, almost.
Yep, and you got about half
Um,
the squad left to fill out, because you've got 12 players out of 26. You've used about half your salary cap, and you've bought a fair few
okay, so
guys. So you're
you're
looking pretty for
you're
your
thinking,
salary cap right now.
yeah. So you're looking here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go big. So your opinion here as well, because
Yeah, no,
if I
absolutely.
was to pick, should I go for another big name here, or should I go for more of a risky buy that I think someone could have a good year? What are you
Personally,
feeling? Should
Henry,
I
I'd fill out my reserve fullback and my
fill out the
flex
reserve pullback? Okay, let's
before
do that
looking
then.
at center row. Now, flex position is any player from any position. So I'm going to actually take some time to explain this. Remember how at the start I said you have 17 scoring players?
Yes.
And that will be your starting 13 plus your 4 reserves.
Yep.
Flex is a brand new position for this year, for NRL at least, and that's why there's a little I on top of it. I'll read that out
Yep.
and then explain it a little bit further. Select an 18th player from any position as your flex player. Your starting lineup will now consist of 18 starters. So it's going to be the 13 you see on the field, plus your 4 reserves, plus your flex player, 18 players. With your team will score points from your best 17 each round, with your flex providing additional cover and strategies when managing your squad. So what that means is one of the people who you have selected to contribute to points for your round will not contribute, and that would be the lowest scoring player. So they'll take your 13 starters, your 4 reserves, and your flex player, sort by points, and whoever scored the lowest
Points.
that week won't count. What this
So that'll be
allows
the
you to
flex.
do is you could go Kalen Ponga, James Tedesco, Tom Trbojevic, right? Or you could go Nathan Cleary, Nico Hines, Jerome Hughes. Last year,
Yep.
we had to pick, right? Because we only had 2 spots.
Yep.
Now we've got this flex. Now we still have to pick, but it gives a lot more flexibility in the strategy.
Do we just take a risk here and just go? Not take a risk, but go for a higher value player then?
Yeah, there's a few strategies, right? You can either fill it with a cheapie that you can't fit in somewhere else, or you can fill it in with a higher value player. Me personally, what I've done is I've gone Ponga, Turbo in my flex.
That's what I'm thinking. Turbo on my flex as well.
Yep. And hold on, let me just get Turbo in there for now so I can show the listeners why this. I'm typing in Turbo instead of Tom. Tommy there, and then I actually went for Ayongi as my fullback
Back up.
cheapie.
Yeah.
Now, why this works, right? There's different schools of thought, but you can only captain and vice captain your starting players.
Yeah.
If I put Ayongi there, I'm not going to want to captain him. So that's the downside. So I'm putting these two there so I can captain and vice captain them. Why you wouldn't want to put Tommy here unless you can sub them. Never mind. Forget what I just said. Why you wouldn't want to put... Does that still
Ayongi.
work? Sorry, I'm just thinking some stuff here through now. Yeah, why you wouldn't want to put Ayongi here is because that means he's going to contribute. He's one of your 18 possibility point scorers, right? And if you see he's going up against the Storm and he's here, you just take the reserve off and put him on someone else.
Yep.
Whereas if he's here, it's harder to do that. Now, if you have a fullback that you can switch and move around, so if Tommy's here, you can switch them around, great. But that doesn't work for every build. So I'd rather just have Tommy, Ponga starting, always captain, vice captain options, and I have the flexibility of the R. Just simplifies the game for me.
Yeah.
Other people have gone with this build. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Other people have done this, and it's not Teddy, it's Tedesco. Just 3 guns, and there's always going to be an R there to reserve James Tedesco.
Okay.
Other people have put Hughes here, so yeah, it's. Do you want to add a cheapie or do you want to add a premium guy? Is the question.
Well, I've got quite a bit of money left, right? So I might as well go for
literally,
someone
who do
big.
you think is going to score a shitload of points? Because flex is any position, so it can be Tommy, it could be Nico, it could be Harry Grant. Don't recommend that. Yeah,
I was actually thinking of Jerry Marshall King, to be honest. I don't know why I
you've got
feel
him
like he's
starting
just
here.
gonna have this. Oh, do I? Oh, yeah, that's right. No, I don't.
You do starting hooker. Well, at least that's what you said. Maybe you didn't click it for your team, but you
No,
definitely
no,
left
no.
hooker saying King's gonna
No, sorry,
start.
sorry. No, I said that JMC was one of them, but I said I'm going Wade Egan.
Oh, you're gonna go Wade
I've
Egan.
got Wade
Okay,
Egan.
yep.
I'm going Wade Egan
You're
now.
going
Yeah,
Wade
yeah.
Egan.
Sorry.
Cool. Because I know.
Yep.
Yeah, you did say Egan at first. I thought you wanted to. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wade Egan starting. I wouldn't do JMK.
Yeah.
I think it's a waste. I think you
Okay.
go either premium player or you go cheap.
Yep.
Like you got to match either
Let's
extreme.
go.
Now the easiest way to do this would be to fill out your team, and then go be like, shit. Do I wish I could add another fullback? Do I wish I could add another halfback? Do I wish I could add another hooker? So I reckon let's fill out your fullback spot instead of your flex. If that's Turbo, if that's Ayongi, make the decision now, and then later, if we come back and say, you know what, let's add the other one in, then we can do that. But right
In
now,
my
is it Walsh?
in
Is
my
it
reserve.
Weeks? Yep.
I'm going go flex for flex. I'm going straight Alangi. I think he's going to be starting, and we don't know what he's going to be. Whatever, I'll take a risk on him. So he'll definitely be he'll be on that reserve.
Yeah, Ayongi in the reserve. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's fill out. You're saying fill out the rest of the team, so the other second rows, right?
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just going to
Okay.
give a bit of a strategy on Supercoach. Players get put into 3 main categories when the season starts. You got guns,
Yep.
cheapies, and mid-rangers. Guns, obviously, are the people who you think are going to play really well, score a lot of points, and are priced accordingly. You need them to build the bulk of your points, because Supercoach is an overall points thing, not just who makes the most money for the season, right? Money is a vehicle to more points. It's not the only objective.
Yep.
Cheapies make you shitload of money, right? Because they're so cheap. And then that's that vehicle to get more points. Some cheapies score a shitload of points. The year Anthony Milford came into this to the NRL was great. Angus Crichton is another pretty popular one. He scored a shitload of points as well as being basement price. Iongi has the potential to do that this year, right? He could score 70 points a game and he's pretty cheap. Mid-ranges are where it gets difficult. And
You don't know what you're going to get, and you're still paying a decent price.
Yeah. So that's where... And the strategies changes year to year, right? Sometimes there are years where you're like, yeah, a lot of good mid-ranges. When the Dolphins came in is a good example. Because the Dolphins took a lot of players, like because they were a brand new team, a lot of mid-rangers actually got starting spots, either at the Dolphins or at clubs that had lost players to the Dolphins. And so people were like, yeah, they're 400K, but, maybe they can go better. So it ebbs and flows. There's no real strategy, in my opinion. It should be year by year. But if you want to simplify it, cheapies and guns, and then see what's left. Does that make sense? Like, does that help you make your decisions? Like, am I going to get a gun here? No? Okay. Am I going to get a cheapie here? No? Okay. Next position. And then do that. And then once you've done that, you go back and say, okay, what mid-ranges am I going for?
Okay. Then we'll go back to the flex then. I'll go back to the flex and might
you
as well
want to add a
go
gun to your flex?
gun. Yeah, 100%. Let's go Tom. I think he's going to have a healthy year. Let's just go
You've
big.
gone the
let's
same
go
back
Tom.
three that I've gone.
Yep.
Much.
And then second rows, we'll go here. I'm thinking, I was just looking at the lineup here, and don't really want to. Like, I feel like Crichton had a good season last year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if he's really worth going for, or should I go for a Mitch Barnett? So I'll speak what I have right now. I'm going, in my head, I'm thinking Barnett, Young, Nikora, and Fafita.
All of them?
Those are the four in my head right now.
Yep.
And then do I, I'm forgetting about someone like a Carrigan. I'm forgetting someone like a Jeremiah and Nanai.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great season last year,
I
but
would recommend now sorting by average for last year.
average for last year.
Because we're looking at guns now. We don't actually care, about our value and cheapies and price to performance and all that stuff. We're just looking at guns, right? So if you sort by the 2024 average, which you can do just by clicking it, or you can go to the sort by thing and then just going there.
Sorry, wait. Let me look at your screen.
Yep. So if you click here,
Oh yeah, I see it.
or
Yep.
you can sort by here. So because we're focusing on guns, just click that, and then you've got a lot of the top point scorers at the top, and you can just scroll down and pick who you want to pick. And then you can give reasons, right? Like you've been giving now.
Yep. I don't want to keep picking power players. Or Jermaine Hopgood has to have a good season this year with how he's gone down last year.
It's not a bad shout.
But
like, who's left?
Yeah.
Campbell Gillard's left.
Yeah.
What's happening with your
Campbell
second row?
Gillard,
Injuries there?
and then second round still deciding on like Kelma, still deciding on
Madison. Lane's got injured.
Maddo. Lane is not consistent.
Yeah,
He's gone down.
Is
Cartwright's
Hopgood
still
gonna,
in and out. Hopgood's definitely going to be playing the whole season as long as he doesn't get injured. I don't see why anyone would take him away.
So you can pick Hopgood if you think even if there's like 3 to 10 points there, that's decent for a gun. As in 3 to 10 extra points.
Yeah.
So he averaged 67. If he averaged 70 to 78, it's a good decision.
Yeah, let's go Jermaine. And then the last one here, I'm going. Max Platt had the year that he had last year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's just going to have a stellar year this year. I mean, yeah, I can go for like a Yo. I can go for Fafita right now.
Yeah, so what I would say is now you're considering risk. Is Plath going to start? Because if he's not, you are going to cop either a price decrease or a trade. Because you're going to have to get rid of him before his price drops.
Yep.
If he starts at lock, it could be a gun decision, right? It could be a really good decision. But do you want to make that and if we didn't have Vegas, right, where you can make that decision, yeah, keep Plath and then you can wait for team lists and then get rid of him if you need to before the season starts. But if your replacement player for Plath is going to be somebody who plays in Vegas, then you just go the Vegas player. But if your replacement for Plath is going to be somebody who isn't playing in Vegas, then we can go Plath now and still have that luxury to change him out if we need to.
Go Young.
Go who?
Young. Hudson Young.
Okay, so if you weren't going to get Plath, you were going to get Hudson Young. Is that what you're telling me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, when picking guns, it's good to just take a second.
Yep.
You've picked Hudson Young 685, right? Do you think he's going to go remarkably better, or you just think he's a good gun to get now and he's going to do about the same as last year?
Yeah, that's my problem is I feel like I can, out of all the ones here, besides like a Yo and I think Crichton's at his ceiling. I don't see why he would get any better than he is at the moment. So the price where he's at is where I think he's going. I don't think he's going to go any better. Hudson Young has maybe a bit more of the ceiling, so he could perform a little bit better. But I think out of all of those, he might be the more consistent one, along with Katoa. I just picked Young over Katoa because of the fact that he's a bit cheaper. And then next one is Nikora. And then looking at their points as well, of like how consistent they were in the last season. Katoa seems a little bit more of that consistent type over Hudson. But Hudson has those big peak games as well. Oh yeah, just looking at it now. I mean, the other choice is Jacob Preston.
Yeah.
But he was in and out of injury last year.
So if he's fit this year.
Yeah, Preston's a big one for me. So what are you saying here? Are you saying should I evaluate the risk?
I am saying I don't believe as much as you do in Hudson Young for Supercoach.
Okay.
But if you do, then go.
No, that's a good shout.
Yeah, I just think he won't have the base stats, so the tackles and the runs that I prefer. I like my second rowers to have a decent base and then get attacking stats on top.
Okay, let's get rid of the attacking. Let's get rid of Young, but I'm going to put Preston there then.
Preston, okay.
Because I feel like out of those choices, Preston really wants to show off this year that he's a more value. Like his ceiling is a lot higher than a lot of the ones that are there at the moment. Like Nikora is where I think he's at.
Yeah.
Young, like you just said, I think he might go a little bit better, but I think he's where he's at. Katoa, I think he's roughly where he's at. David Fafita, he can have quite a good ceiling if he can stay fit, and Crichton's going to be where he's at.
The only thing I'd say with Nikora is he's one of the best line runners in the game. If Nico Hines plays more games this year, right, because he was injured last year, I'm pretty sure, and he doesn't have to deal with the whole like mental side of the game where did he get dropped from Origin last year and it took a hit to his confidence or something? Yeah.
Yep.
So if Nico can turn it on, then Nikora might score a couple more tries. I'm not saying go him. I'm not going him, but that's just something to think about as a reason why I might think he goes better.
No, he's would I put him on the bench? How much money do I have?
You don't have enough money to put him on the bench.
No, I don't.
Skip it for you now. You're not putting him on the bench.
Okay. So let's go bench now.
Cool.
All right, so we've got that sorted. Let's go bench, and let's go firstly.
Just to sort of talk about the bench players, only 4 of them are going to score points. In an ideal world, right, you have 18 guns and everyone else is cheap. It's not an ideal world, so you have to mess around with it a bit. If you're getting a bit overwhelmed, to fill out your reserves, I would go every position, filter by own percent, find the cheapie, plug them in.
I like that.
That's what I would do. So I just speed run that, and then we can go back and adjust.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's go bench for hooker.
Yep. So the cheapie is there, Sandon, right? He's at the top. Sandon would be in my team. We can make a decision as to halfback or hooker later, but we'll put him at hooker now. Just to talk through the others, Peter Mamazoulis, if he starts. Now the competition there is from Humphreys, who can play hooker.
Yep.
I personally think he should start at halfback, but anyway. Corey Pakes might get some minutes at hooker at the Broncos, especially somebody got injured. Who got injured?
Well,
Moser, I think, got
It's
injured.
pretty. Who's your
Well,
Brayley?
Brayley's our hooker. There's reports saying we're shopping him around, but there's always reports saying we're shopping him around. So I don't actually know what's going to happen. That could be a wait for team list. And even if he gets named to start, if Brayley's in the team, it might be worth waiting to see the minute split. Because if they're both just getting 40 minutes, there's no point.
Yep.
So Sandon, Peter Mamazoulis, Corey Pakes, Owen Paddy's been named on the bench for the Raiders, Phoenix Crossland.
Because we know for Roosters, it's almost going to be a 50-50 split for Sandon.
Well, no, he's starting at halfback.
Oh, he's a starting halfback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Sam Walker's injured.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to prop. The cheapies here. Corey Hawes was probably a mid-ranger, but is high value. Royce Hunt is a cheapie.
Yeah, Royce Hunt. Why is Royce Hunt such a cheapie? Is his points just not
People think he's
consistent?
going to play more minutes at the Tigers because he was off the bench for the Sharks last year. He's going to be off the bench for the Tigers this year. People are also desperate. There's not too many cheapies around. So he's the best of a bad bunch, essentially.
What's wrong with Nafua White? I mean, they don't really have.
Well, he's 120k more.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? That's a lot. That's
I don't know who Ethan Roberts is.
Ethan Roberts probably doesn't even play, right? So this is another example of people probably picked him because he's dual and basement price.
Yeah.
They're going to use the dual for flexibility and the basement price so that they don't take as big a hit and can fill out the squad. Ben Takora might get a bench spot at the Broncos, but you're seeing here it's a pretty tough. Miles Martin isn't even going to play yet. I like him, but he's not going to play in Vegas at least. So it's pretty tough. I would plug in Royce Hunt if you're desperate, and I have. It's not a good pick, but I'm desperate. If you're the same, then you can do that.
I'm feeling the same. I was always feeling that he might be a good pick for desperation. Yeah. Will McGregor is a. I'm going Will McGregor. Over Corey Ho as well.
Okay. Let's look at the Eels predicted 17. Let's just go to the first one. Active squad actually. That's usually better. February 18th.
No, actually,
they were really lazy last year. This year, sorry. So we won't look at that. We'll look at this one. Where is?
Don't even see his name there. Yeah.
Is he even at the club?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Of course he is. That's why I know. I just have a feeling he's going to have a chance this year.
Yeah. Corey Horsburgh is a starting prop who has a history of scoring well when he gets minutes. Will McGregor has never been Supercoach relevant and is unlikely to start or get enough minutes to justify picking him. I know this is your team and you can do what you want and you can do what you want. I wouldn't pick Will McGregor.
Yeah, that's a little advice I'll take.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
He is that cheap and he's only 1% owned.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back up then, and I'll pick that Royce Hunt then.
Mm-hmm. And if there's no cheapies, we can just come back to this spot, which is what I would recommend doing. So let's go to second row. Cheapies here. Again, Horsburgh is borderline. He's more a mid-ranger, but he's a good pick. The first cheapie is Vaimoga. Reason is he's been named on the bench for the Warriors. He's a safe pick. People know he's there, so everyone's picked him. He's the only confirmed cheapie we've got, and it's hard to find a cheapie.
I'm going him
in second row.
I'm going for him. Going him for cheapie for second row.
Mm-hmm. There's no real cheapies here now that Schuster's had all the bad reports come out. So personally, I would now just leave it as is and then come back to the position and see what we're doing with mid-ranges.
Okay, and then halfback.
Sandon, we've got him at hooker. Tom Duffy. Now, Clifford had surgery not too long ago on a hernia. So people are thinking Tom Duffy's going to start. Now, if you think he's going to start for long enough to justify keeping him, then that's good. But if he's only going to start for a little bit, then it might be worth moving Sandon to halfback and putting another cheap hooker. Because if you remember, we had Mamazulos, we had Pakes. So we've got options at hooker. We don't have options at halfback. Well, we do. It's either Sandon or Duffy. So do you think
Yeah, I'm looking at
Duffy's worth
Sanders.
keeping?
I'm going Sanders, Ethan here. Why is he such a low percentage?
I mean, Sandon Smith is who I'm talking about. Ethan
Oh,
Sanders is a low percentage is because he's not playing.
not selected to play upcoming round. Ah, okay.
It's going to be Fogarty and Strange.
Okay.
Um,
Jacob Arthur here, mate. So you would say mid-range here or not
I would say
mid-range?
Sandon Smith here and pick a different hooker. So we've got Sandon at hooker. Let's pick Sandon at halfback.
Yep.
And now we've got better options to pick from at hooker because Peter Mamazulos, Corey Pakes are better
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
options than,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So who do you want
Let's
out of
go
those?
Peter.
Peter?
Let's go Peter, and then I'm gonna switch that. Might switch that if I need the money.
Yep.
Okay. We go to 5'8".
What you did is how I play Supercoach as well. Especially at the start of the season, if I need to pick between players, I pick the more expensive one because I'd rather downgrade than upgrade. I'd rather
Yeah.
rather get money than find money.
Yeah. Okay, so 5'8".
There's really no cheapies. It's that, and that's why I'm running Metcalf and Munster as my combo.
Is Will Price?
He
Is
won't.
not.
He won't play. He won't start.
Jonah is definitely not going to start.
Mm,
Oh, he's got a hamstring injury anyway.
yeah. And for anyone who has like the inside word, obviously you can filter by lowest price. So yeah, there's not many. Yeah, there's not many options there. CHT is the cheapest starting option at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon come back to this position and let's see how much money we've got to play with. Center wing's where it gets juicy.
Yeah.
Toya, some people are big on him. I'm not, but if he gets named, he's straight into my team, most likely. Hopefully we get some more news about Billy and Mark. And
I
when
got
they're
Tamale.
returning. Yep.
I got Tamale.
You've got Tamale, yep. You've also got Finau.
Yep.
Jackbird's a borderline cheapie. Who else can we go for? Oh, there's not as many as I thought. So we're going to have to be mid-ranger heavy this year. There's word that Gemat Shibasaki might start at the Broncos.
Okay. Is Adam Dewey start?
He is, yeah. Starting center for the Tigers.
How was he in his previous years?
Injured, to be honest. It's hard to look at his previous years because he's injured. I think he scored a lot of points at 5'8". That 1 year, he had a breakout year at 5'8".
I thought he had a breakout year at center.
He played well at center, but for Supercoach, he had a really good year at 5'8" one time.
Okay.
Now, if we look at if you look at my screen, this page has Gemat starting. And he's like 250k less.
Let's go.
But I don't know if he's actually going to start. Shibasaki is likely to take his place because the word is he's won the spot. If he doesn't get named, we're kind of screwed.
I like that kind of screwed.
Yeah. For now, I just keep him in mind. If he gets named, plug him in straight away for whoever else. But yeah.
The thing is, I'll be traveling.
Yeah.
When do we get named? I'll be traveling for almost like 24 hours tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, they'll get named on Tuesday. Teamless Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. They're not playing this weekend.
Yeah. Look, how long have we been going for? We've been going for an hour, and you've got to go soon. So I'm gonna put some recommendations in. At prop,
Let's go.
I reckon go Terrell May.
Okay, done.
Just because he's gonna get shitload of minutes, playing at the Tigers.
Yep.
I don't think it's a safer pick to be at 51%. To be honest, everyone's like he's going to be a gun for the rest of the season. I don't think that's the case, just
Yep.
because of the Tigers factor. But we don't really have a choice. We're forced
Yep.
into it. Second row is a bit more fuzzy. There's no clear sort of things. Zach Hosking is 500k and scores well if he gets 80 minutes. So if you think he's starting for the Raiders, but I don't know if he's going to get 80 minutes. Fine Fuiaki might be an option if he starts for the Dolphins, because he's less than 400k, and he's the guy.
What's wrong with?
Hey,
Yeah, sorry, keep going. Sorry.
he's the guy who played at the Cowboys and wasn't getting minutes because Lukey and someone else, I forget, Nanai was in front of him.
Yeah.
What's wrong with what? Sorry.
No. Do you see anything wrong with a Jordan Ricky here, who can score points, and a Tom Gilbert? I haven't looked at their
So
average.
Ricky's
I
about
mean,
471, and he's been playing for a while. So you'd need to tell me what's going to change from this year to last year. Because he's not going to score enough points to be that gun thing where I said, it doesn't matter if they don't get a lot more points than last year. You're just getting premium points. But Ricky, it's not premium points, so you need to tell me why he's going to score more this year.
Yep.
And you could say it. You think Ben Hunt's going to feed him a bunch of tries.
But no, I don't think so.
He had Ezra Mam last year, so it's not,
There's an upgrade from Ezra. At least he won't crash a car.
I think Connor Watson is a value pick, because he's going to start at hooker versus last year where that wasn't the case. And he's a super coach player. Like, he runs a lot. He busts a lot of tackles. He always tries hard in defense. So he's a super coach player.
Done. Next one.
Aaron Clark is starting at lock for the Warriors. Hetherington could start for the Broncos. Yep.
I'm going to take a risk and go ahead. Kobe.
Yep. It's so hard not to just tell you to pick the players I've picked.
Why, who'd you go for? Like, I've already picked that, but who'd you go for?
What does my second row look like? I've got IPAPs, and obviously I'm going to change this. But it's IPAPs, Hosking, Finifuiaki. And then we've got Watson, Aaron Clark, and Vomoga.
Interesting. Wow, you went Paps, but I wanted to go Paps, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I don't know. I want to take the risk on him.
He's the
like
biggest one.
Like, I'd like to get rid of Preston and go Paps.
Yeah.
In that round, and like actually, I'd probably pick him over Preston, but I might make that decision tomorrow, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, with Paps. I'll need to sort out the rest of my team and see what's what.
Okay, let's go half at 5'8".
Let's skip 5'8". Let's go to centre.
Okay. Centre.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need, how much do we have? We got 900 far out. We got not much to play with.
It's about 300k a player.
Oh. So now I'm gonna actually go by lowest price.
Look, there's word Jackson Purdue is going to start at the Cowboys and it's 260k. So if you believe he's going to start, it's worth putting him in your team. And if you want, we can look at the Cowboys predicted team. And the reason I'm using Sporting News for anyone listening is because the NRL's active squad was phenomenal last year, not as good this year. It's been really dodgy this year, like where it's just obvious wrong decisions being made. And there you go. You've got Purdue starting at centre, Villiers the other centre. So I'd assume Purdue's like, it's not like they've got a bunch of centres pushing. Zach Labert is the issue there when he comes back. But
is Billy Smith playing
for the Roosters?
Yeah,
he's got some sort of injury, but he might be playing. So let's have a look at Billy Smith. I'm pretty sure I have him in my team. Yeah, I've got him in my team for now. There's no injury thing. Yeah, you can pick Billy Smith. You want to pick Billy Smith? I did.
Yeah, I'm going Billy Smith. Yeah, I'm going Billy Smith, yeah. And then last one is, we might have to actually go cheaper here.
Yeah.
Maybe we might go take a risk with what you said there. Maybe I might go for, you know what, before I do that, Actually, I'll go Jackson
Yep. And
just because
see.
of the ownership, and then halfback. I mean 5'8". I would just want to see how much money I have left here.
Fuck all. You can go see
Yeah, fucking
HT,
shit.
but then you've got 2 Warriors there, so when they have a bye, you're screwed.
Jonah's definitely not going to be playing at the moment. Carl Alawapu,
No,
he's definitely not going to
he's
be
not playing.
playing. Far out, there's not much choices there.
So now we get to the point of, well, how do we make money,
Okay, so
right?
who will
So
actually benefit us?
yeah. So we need it. We now know we need to free up some cash because there are no 5/8s available. Or you could do what 8% of super coaches have done and pick Jake Elliott,
Yeah.
right? So it's not a bad strategy. Now the reason I don't like that strategy is at the start of the season you want a full playing squad. At the end of the season, less important. You just need 20 guns and you're fine. Sub them in and out. At the start, there's a lot more volatility. You're also going into Origin and having to deal with those big buys, so you want as many playing players as you can have. Whereas after Origin, it's one team per buy. Yes, there are injuries you need to handle and you have less trades, but it matters less. So you can strip down your squad and go for non-playing players. They're called nuffs, so players who aren't going to play at basement price. I'm not a fan at the start of the season of doing that. I want to have guns. I want to have a full squad, sorry. So we now need to make money. Best way to do that is to go through each position. What cheapies haven't you picked? And could you pick them? Would be the question. So let's go to Flex.
Yep.
Own percent, because that's where the value comes in. And let's now scroll down and look at, because the reason we're doing Flex, by the way, is because it'll do every position. I could go individually through hooker, front row, second row, look at the GPs, but let's just do Flex, see what is at the top. Top unselected player is Robert Toyer. Do you want to bring him in or not? So the question there is he going to start? Now, the minimum before you get a price rise is 3 games. So players don't get a price rise after 1 game. They don't get a price change after 2 games. They get it after 3. And then after 4, after 5, after 6.
Who's injured here?
Mark. But I don't think it's that bad. And Billy Smith might be injured as well. I think they both got clouded injury things.
And then my other choices there were...
Now, your next unselected cheapie is Tom Duffy at halfback, where Clifford went through hernia surgery.
Yeah. Who do I swap out here, though?
But let's look at if you want the player in or not first. So do you want to think about Robert Toyer or not really?
I'm thinking I might risk him because if we've got 2 injuries there, I think we risk him because there's no one else. Like Billy Smith's still not 100%, and that other bloke Nowaski, whatever. I need to learn how to pronounce his name as well.
His name's Mark, right?
Mark, yeah. So, let's
He's the NRL physio
say
thing, sorry.
he's gonna be up and down, right? Like he might have a few good games, and then Robbo's gonna say, or he's gonna maybe have a two or three drop games, and he's probably gonna put someone else there, right?
So
yeah, let's go, Robert.
NRL physio. Smith has been dealing with a lingering hip injury, and Butcher is nearing end stages of ACL Rico. Roosters are expecting them to be back sometime in the first 3 games.
That's if Billy plays well, though, in reserve, right? He's going to go do his rounds in reserve.
I think he'll play. But if you don't, again, this is where you need to make a call, right? If you don't, then pick Robert. It's not a bad choice. Like, am I really going to be more correct than 54% of super coaches? Like, and I still might go Robert Toyer. but I'm not sure yet. And Mark, apparently it's just bad cramps, or it could be a calf injury. And this is why now you're seeing why NRL physio is blown up, because clubs don't give out any information on injuries. So it's and people care about Supercoach.
Mm.
So yeah, Tom Duffy, Robert Toyer. You can also filter and then put a price range. So if you look at my screen, let me know when you're there.
Yep.
So we're in Flex right now. We'll click filter. We'll bring this down to 320k. Let's see who's there. Ethan Roberts, no. Ben Takura might be on the bench for the Broncos.
Sakura, I was
Corey
thinking about him.
Pakes. Jack Guzevsky.
How much? Wait, how much is Bentakura? Can't see the price book.
232. Now, personally, I would only drop Royce Hunt in the front row. And that will give you, if you do that, 232, 240, it only gets you like 8k.
That's not worth it. Just keep Royce there.
249, it
I
gets you
feel
like
like I want to take a
16k.
risk. I'd rather take a risk with him.
Yeah. Now, here's the other way we look at it. Are there any cheaper guns that you might want instead? Right? So what guns do we have? Let's look at second row. So you've spent 665 on Olaquatu. Is there anyone else there that you could maybe pick instead to downgrade, or do you want to downgrade Hopgood, who's 657, or Jacob Preston? Like, is there a downgrade for not too many loss of points that we could do?
How are we feeling about Aaron Clark? Because Clarkie,
He's starting at lock. There's potential there. Do I have him in my team?
You know what? I actually. Fuck, why do
I have him in
so
my
many
team at the
Warriors right now?
moment, and he's dual position.
Why the fuck do I have so many Warriors though?
Do you? Or Viamag is a cheapie.
Yeah.
Metcalf is a gun. Who else do you have? Egan.
Egan.
3. It's fine.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the list real quick.
No, don't be sorry. It's good, mate. Because this is like...
How's Suo Wong going?
If he starts, then he's good. If he doesn't, then he's not. Essentially.
Could do like maybe a Liam Martin.
Yeah. How much is he?
436. Versus if I take a risk on another Warriors player.
Yeah, that's... Now, I'm going to blow your mind. I didn't want to introduce this too early because there's a lot of depth to this, but Control T, new tab, Henry Davey.
Sorry?
Open a new tab, Google Supercoach stats, or you can just type in supercoachstats.com.
Supercoach stats.
Oh, wow. Is it not supercoachstats.com? It might be .net or something. Just Google Supercoach stats. NRL supercoachstats.com. This website is the business. Is so good. But it's very complicated if you're just starting out, which is why I didn't put it at the start of the podcast. Now, who do we talk about? Aaron Clark, right? So go to stats.
Yep.
Go to 2024 player profiles. Drop down. Press CL. Takes you to CL surnames. Aaron Clark. Let's look at Aaron Clark for 2024. Scroll down.
Put Aaron.
It gives you the minutes he's played and the points he scored. Remember when I was talking about runs and tackles, and that's your like base points? It tells
Yeah.
you how many points he scored in base. It then tells you how many points he got from scoring tries and kicking goals. It then
Yeah.
tells you how many points he got from assists. So line break assists, try assists, evasive, so tackle busts, and negative points, penalties, errors, that sort of stuff, missing goals.
Yep.
This is phenomenal. Gives you his price per round, break even. I'll probably explain that in a different episode, and then points per minute. So if he plays for 10 minutes, he probably would have scored 9.3 points in round 1. Played for 10 minutes, probably would have scored 15 points in round 3.
Ah, okay. Okay. That gives me a lot of insight. So what was our second player here again? Our second player that I had in mind was
Aaron Clark.
Liam Martin
Oh, Liam Martin, sorry.
and Liam Martin. It's either Liam Martin or Aaron Clark to free up some more space there.
Yep. Now we look at both. Martin, let's have a look. So there was a 64-minute game, there was a 70-minute game, there was another 70-minute game, 71-minute game, 40-minute game. So we could comfortably say there were some games where he played less minutes. Is that because of injury? Is that because of a rest? Like what it is, we don't know. We could find out, but not from this page. And so that would hurt his average. If you think he's going to play 80, there's a chance he averages more points. The other thing you think about, though, is Papali'i's on the bench. Is Martin going to rotate through the middle now that James Fisher-Harris is gone? Is Papali'i going to rotate through the middle? Is it just going to be a straight swap where Papali'i comes on? Or is Papali'i going to play for Sorensen? These are the... what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Now, if you think he's going to play 80... then let's try looking at 2023 play profiles for Liam Martin just to get a gauge of what we might get from him in terms of points. So he averaged 63 minutes. So at the top, you can see just a breakdown of the whole season. 63 minutes, 58 points. PPM of 1.
Yep.
2024, what's his PPM? And then what's his minutes? PPM of 6.64. That's a huge drop off. So
there's
PPM
high
of
potential.
0.9 and then a PPM of 6.4. Is there a lot of potential? Is his role changed? Is he on a downward trajectory? That's what you need to decide.
Okay. That's for time's sake because I've got to run in a second.
Yep.
Let us. I'm thinking I'll take the risk. I'll take off. Oh, damn. I'm going to keep Bolo Kawatu, I think. I'm just going to take a risk with him.
Okay, Preston or Hopgood?
Let's take off Preston here.
Okay, and we're going to add Martin.
Yep, we'll add Martin.
Cool. You've now got some money to play with, but a few mid-ranges. Let me see if I can spot some from my team. Zach Lomax is another standout, right, at centre wing. At that price, you're essentially telling me you think he's going to be the high-scoring centre wing for the first 8 weeks of the comp.
No. Let's take him. That's the second choice. Let's go center wing.
So I'm not saying you need to downgrade him per se, but if you don't, he is the second most expensive. So he needs to be the high-scoring player for you to pick him. If you don't think that's the case, who do you think is going to be the high-scoring player, and pick that guy instead?
Then that's probably going to be Jermaine Asako in my eyes.
In your
Kicker,
eyes, it's
for
Asako?
sure, going to be the kicker.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure he's going to be the kicker. He can, and if he's playing his wing and he doesn't have the end of the season he did last year, I think he's a safer pick than not knowing what Lomax is going to produce.
Yeah, and mate, you've just saved yourself over 100k.
Yep, done.
Right?
I'd love him there, but it's fine.
Yeah, but he's more a later pick, right? If he kills it, you can just bring him in later once you've made some money. But you've saved 150k, and you think you're going to get more points. I personally disagree. But Azako's a good pick. He's not a bad pick. I just personally don't know. I'm worried about Bennett leaving. Azako's only ever done good under Bennett.
Yep.
But who's to say? But he's
Okay,
never
cool.
had Christian Wolf as a coach, so maybe he's going to go well there.
Exactly.
Um,
Okay, and then the last one here, for time's sake, to me, it's either Deal Bags or Cameron Munster here.
yep, I'd go Munster just because of the contract situation with Dillbags and 50k.
Yep, agreed.
Cool. Now we've got a few minutes here. You've got 54k remaining. If
Yep.
you make any changes, message it through so I can change it for on this end as well. Or the login is, if you go to our Discord, the logins, that's the login for this as well. So you can just jump in and make the changes too. But if you don't, or if you're about to board a plane or whatever, or if whatever, just let me know and I'll do it too, just so we can keep everything similar.
Sounds good.
What I would look at as in improvements to your team, literally go to flex, sort by points. Who are the guns that you don't have? So you don't have Latrell, but he's injured. You don't have Edwards. He had a career year last year. Probably won't go up by much. Cleary is the one that I think is essentially you need to think he's going to be injured for you not to pick him. That's how good he is. Okay?
That's wise.
So if you think he's going to be injured, fine. If not, you need to find 200k and you need to get him into your team for Moses.
Okay.
That's me. Like, that's Supercoach. You got to have Cleary. He's 50% and he's 800k. Yep. Not many players are like that. Turbo's 34%. Right? So Cleary's 50% at 800k. That's a high confidence. No one else really stands out. I personally like Fafita this year. And there's a few others, but so far your team's looking good. Let's save it, and do we have time to make a starting 13 and reserves?
Not yet. No, I have to run.
You have to run? Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to make it.
Yep.
And
Shoot
it'll
it
take
over
me
to
30 seconds if you just want to stick around, or you can go.
Oh, no, I can watch you. Go for it.
Okay, so Wade Egan, he's obviously a starter. Tino has a bye, so you're going to put Terrell May to start. Connor Watson is going to score a shitload of points. I'd want him to start. There is more strategy to this than just highest point scorer should start. But we'll go through that later. This looks about right. This looks about right. We'd start Munster. Whoever you think's going to score the most points there. Reserves, we'd go Liam Martin, Kobe Hetherington, Luke Metcalf. So they're starting. Put them. Do you want to have Iongi as a reserve over?
Yeah, I do have. I've just added him as my reserve.
Over Hetherington.
Yep.
Okay. Tamale, Purdue. Now, actually, I will say this really quickly. Your starting 13 and your reserves, they all score the same points except for captains, right? So pick whoever plays earlier as your starter. Why do I say that? If you do this, right? So can you see my screen?
Yep.
Metcalf is injured. Boom, you just put Munster there. Easy. But if this is how your team looks, Metcalf gets injured, but Munster's already played, what do you do?
Okay.
Right? But that's actually a good thing because you know what you do? Reserve, put it on someone else.
Yep.
But let's pretend Metcalf isn't playing one of the first games. Gets injured. Munster's a reserve, yeah, great, whatever. But he's played. Now what do? You can't do anything because Munster's locked. You can't sub him in to start. He's already played. He's locked out. It can't be touched. You can't just take a reserve off your injured player because there's no reserve. So you're stuck unless you have like a halfback you can put in there and swap around or whatever. But you're stuck. So you want the players playing early to start and the players playing later to be on your reserve so you have more flexibility to change them. Out. And if he gets injured, okay, Munster's locked out, that's fine. I'll just put the reserve on Tino. Right? Simple.
Yep.
Anyway, man, have a good dinner.
Save this.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be doing more Supercoach as the weeks go by. And see you next time.